Hard rock style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got back on track after a 20-point loss in Atlanta on Saturday. They beat Charlotte Monday night, 121-111. Productive game for Luka Doncic, 38 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. Austin Reeves dropped 24. The Lakers are 8-3. They're at Oklahoma City Wednesday night. Things continue to look bad for the Clippers. They lost their 5th straight game Monday night, a 105-102 loss to Atlanta at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Kawhi Leonard did not play. James Harden had 35 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds, but he had no help. No one else in the game for the Clippers scored more than 13 points. Very tough times early in the season for Clippers coach Ty Lue. The Clippers are 3-7. They're at home against Denver Wednesday night. For the 3rd straight week, Tavis Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers are the nation's #2 college football team behind Ohio State. Indiana is 10-0. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Dateline Friday, November 7, 2025. Dear Mr. Pizarro, I hope that this letter finds you well. As you know, last evening, KBLA Talk 1580 hosted an Altadena Town Hall entitled Understanding the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. The venue was at capacity, and as KBLA has maintained all along, no plaintiff's counsel was involved in any aspect of the program, such that Southern California Edison could well have participated per its initial commitment in writing on October 7, 2025. That said, in both private communications and public pronouncements, we note that SCE has offered to appear on KBLA Talk 1580 to address the Altadena community regarding its fast pay program, which was discussed in depth at last night's gathering. We would like to accept SCE's offer and invite you, Mr. Pizarro, to appear on KBLA's nationally syndicated radio program, Tavis Smiley. The show broadcasts weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are happy for you to choose any day, any hour for a live in-studio conversation. Please let us know which day and time work best for you. We look forward to welcoming you to our studios in Leimert Park. Sincerely, Tavis Smiley, founder, Smiley Audio Media, Inc., Chief Visionary Officer, KBLA Talk 1580, host, Tavis Smiley. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Democrats are doing anything but rocking steady right about now. These feckless Democrats, as we just discussed in our first hour, are killing me right about now. But I digress on that for now. I'm going to be in my feelings like many of you will be for days to come. But we'll come back to that a little bit later. We have a conversation now with Christian Menefee. Let me just set this up for you. You recall last week on this program, we had Amanda Edwards, who is now in a runoff for the historic 18th Congressional seat in Houston, once held by the likes of Barbara Jordan. You need to bow down right quick when you say that name. Barbara Jordan. Let's bow down to Mickey Leland and Sheila Jackson Lee and Sylvester Turner. It really is a historic 18th congressional seat in Houston. The other candidate in that runoff election is Harris County Attorney Christian Menefee. He was supposed to be on this program yesterday, but wires got crossed. That time difference thing always trips people up. Anyway, I think his team got it right today, and I think he's on the line right now. Christian Menefee, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm on the line, and I got the time right this time, brother. So I'm looking forward to it.
No, man, I'm glad to have you on the program. First of all, congratulations on being in this runoff, number one. Then number two, you came in first place in the runoff. So let's just call a spade what it is. I mean, call it what it is, rather. You came in first in this runoff. Tell me how you did that in a race that had like what, 16 people?
Yeah, it was 16 folks in who filed, and before that, it was around 24 folks who were working through the process of campaigning. You know, we just ran an unapologetically progressive campaign where I talked about the many, many fights that I've had with Donald Trump in the courtroom, with Governor Abbott, with Ken Paxton out here, our Attorney General in Texas, and the wins that I've gotten for folks on voting rights, on ensuring we have clean air and clean water, on protecting our healthcare programs. I think that resonated with folks, and you know, I'm just doing every single thing I can to make sure folks know that we even have an election because of the uniqueness of the Republicans that we deal with out here in Texas. But we ran a strong campaign. It completely resets now, and I'm looking forward to the runoff.
Before we get to that special election and the runoff here, tell me about Harris County. And for those, I mean, these titles are different around the country. Tell me about Harris County, tell the national audience, and tell us what it means to be Harris County attorney. What is that?
It means different things to different people. I'll tell you that. So Harris County is the third most populous county in the country. If it were a state, it'd be the 25th most populous state. It encompasses the Houston area. I ran in 2019 against the incumbent county attorney, and who had basically been in public office for 20 or so years, and I just disagreed with him on a bail reform issue. You know, I believe that we should be eliminating cash bail in this country because no person should be stuck behind bars because they can't afford to pay bail. And I, you know, strongly disagreed with him, decided to run against him. And it was one of those Dick Cheney moments because at the time I was the president of the Black Democrats out here, and I formed a committee to find the person to run against this guy. And, you know, I thought to myself, it's got to be somebody young, got to be somebody who can raise money outside of traditional political streams, probably somebody who's a minority, somebody black, you know, and then looked in the mirror and looked at my wife and decided it had to be me. So in this job, I am the civil lawyer for the county. So I run an office of about 300 folks, and the county government is about 18,000 employees. So we're the legal department, but I also have legal authority in some instances to file lawsuits on behalf of the greater good of the county, whether that be against politicians in power or against large corporations. And so we've really flexed the muscle of this office and taken what has been thought of in the past to be a backroom office to be basically the Democratic Attorney General's office for the state of Texas.
What does it mean, since you went there, I want to follow you, what does it mean in any part of Texas, but especially where you are, to be the president, to be the head of a group of black Democrats?
Man, it means being in the wilderness and throwing a bunch of punches to ensure that your people are taken care of. You know, when I ran that organization, we saw a number of issues that were popping up. We were fighting very hard to get countywide voting because at the time in Texas, if you hadn't adopted countywide voting, you could only vote in your specific precinct on election day, which of course would be very challenging for folks who work, who would have to commute and maybe wouldn't be directly in their precinct when they had time to vote. There was a number of other issues that we stood up and spoke out on. And my goal in that job was to galvanize black folks to make sure that they knew about the issues impacting them, but was also to be like a voice for the community in an unapologetic way. You know, I was raised by two military parents, and what my dad taught me was, look, you can't just complain about the type of democracy you want to see. You got to stand up and advocate for it. And he also just taught me to be super pro-black. You know, there's a picture that I refer to all the time where my dad, you know, got on a Malcolm X shirt with a black fist raised in the air, and I'm like 4 years old, and I'm just looking up at him like, yeah, that's what I want to be one day. So when I was in this role, for me, it was very much about making sure that the Democratic Party conformed to the issues important to black folks and not the other way around.
Yep. You mentioned bail reform as the issue that really got you involved in electoral politics. I want to circle back to that when we come forward. Obviously, the death penalty is a long way from bail reform, but when we think about Texas, we think of all the backwards ways that things are done respectfully in Texas. But we know Texas to be one of the states that leads the nation in terms of putting people to death. Oftentimes, those persons are black and brown and poor. And so it starts long before you get to the death penalty with things like bail reform. I want to circle back to that first before I push forward with Christian Menefee, Harris County attorney and the leader in this runoff election, this special election in Houston, the 18th Congressional District, this historic district. More with Christian when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at KBLA1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to KBLA1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Christian Menefee, Harris County attorney in Texas, and the leader in this runoff election, this special election to replace the seat that is now vacant, to fill the seat that's now vacant. Sylvester Turner had that seat. Former mayor of Houston passed away, as you recall. And just before him, Sheila Jackson Lee passed away of cancer, but it's a historic seat. Once held again by the likes of Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, and the names I just mentioned. And so Christian Menefee comes out on top in this 16-way race, as it were, some days ago. And now there are two running in this special election. Let me go back to bail reform right quick, Christian Menefee, if I can, because that was the issue you tapped into earlier that really got you involved in electoral politics. I wonder if you just might say a word about that more expressly and what you were able to accomplish on that in that regard, and just talk more broadly about criminal justice issues as we see them outside of Texas.
You know, my family was my parents. My mother's side was raised out in South Central LA. They left the projects in the east side of San Antonio and went out to South Central because, like so many other folks, they were told that there were jobs and opportunity in South Central during the 70s. And of course, what they walked into eventually was communities that were riddled with gangs, and then, of course, the crack epidemic that was forced on us by the federal government. So I've seen three strikes laws. I've seen over policing. I've seen what that can do in a family. You know, I come from a family that sent more people to prison than to college, with multiple uncles and cousins who have spent time behind bars. So that's the perspective, that's the lens through which I look at these issues. Out here in Harris County, we had a system that basically had a menu of bail amounts that you would pay depending on the crime. So you could be arrested for driving with an invalid license, and the bail amount could be, let's say, $1,500. If you couldn't afford that, you would go to jail and spend months there, and in many instances, lose your home, your vehicle, your job, your family in some instances. And it just was incredibly inhumane. So I decided to run against my predecessor because he defended that unconstitutional system, even after the court said it was clearly unconstitutional. But I believe in wholesale reformation to our criminal justice system, decarceration in a real way. We have too many prisons out there that are packed with brothers because of three strikes laws, because of the sentencing disparity between crack and powder cocaine. And I've worked hard in my position as county attorney to defend the important changes that we have made to our bail system out here in Harris County, to try to implement more cite and release for low-level nonviolent offenses that, to reduce unnecessary jail time and make sure that government isn't wasting money trying to incarcerate people who are getting only minor offenses. And to try to do the best we can to expand community policing instead of having enhanced interactions where, police officers are brutalizing our communities. So this is something that's been incredibly important to me. And, when I get up to Congress, I'm going to do all I can to pass bills like the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. But I want to be clear, right now the country's in a very different place on these issues than they were 5 years ago. When George Floyd was murdered, everybody and their mama, every single corporation, every single politician was talking about reforming our criminal justice system and the way that we do policing in this country. You've seen a lot of those folks take a step back, but when I get to Congress, I plan to be an important voice on this and bold in the same way that we saw so many folks be 5 years ago.
I got a few questions about Congress before I get to the House. Let me go straight to the Senate. If you were in the Senate and not in the House, how would you have voted on this bill the other day?
Absolutely not. Not only would I have voted no on it, but I would have done exactly what I've done in this race, which is publicly criticize the 8 Democratic senators who took the deal. I'm opposed to cutting a deal that allows the ACA premiums to skyrocket, and that's just full stop. Everywhere I go across this district, and this is something you hear from folks across the country, people want fighters. They want a Democratic Party that's going to have a backbone, that's going to stand up to Donald Trump, that's going to hold him accountable when he's spending outside of congressionally appropriated ways, when he's refusing to spend in ways that have been congressionally appropriated and obligated, and when he is ultimately taking aim at the working class and trying to bring folks down. I grew up on WIC. I grew up on free lunch. I've benefited from these governmental programs. So I want the government shutdown to end like yesterday. But I think that cutting a deal that doesn't actually get anything for working Americans makes no sense. And to me, it makes me question, why go into the shutdown in the first place?
That's right.
If you never intended to get something that was material that you could take home to your constituents and say, look, we got a real win for you, then what was the point of going through this political battle in the first place? I think it is incredibly short-sighted. I think there's a reason why every last one of those senators who is voting for the deal is not up for re-election anytime soon or is retiring. And I think that it is emblematic of the problems that we're seeing in the Democratic Party and why the base is so pissed off at people.
Yep. Tell me more about what you see as the problems inside the Democratic Party.
There's a divide right now. There are folks, I think, who were birthed in the Democratic Party of go along to get along. Both parties are operating within a set of norms, so you got to play nice with the other side. That we can disagree, but let's still be ready and willing to have a drink together at 5 p.m. regardless of what the other side is doing. And that, that might be the Democratic Party or the politics of days past, but that's not the politics of today. I've been knocking doors all across this district, and I wouldn't knock the door of an 80-year-old African-American woman. And as she was walking up to the door, all these things were going through my mind about what the issues are going to be that are important to her. So I'm guessing Medicare, I'm guessing Social Security. She gets to the door and she says, young man, what are you going to do about Donald Trump? People are furious. They're furious that when planes fall out of the sky, Donald Trump is blaming DEI when we all know that that is him trying to use code for black folks. They're furious that the president is working to cut Pell Grants and dismantle the Department of Education when we know that education has the opportunity to be a great equalizer for so many folks in our society. They're furious that the president is overseeing one of the largest transfers of wealth in modern American history, taking away from poor folks, from the working class, and giving it to rich folks. They're furious, and they want the people that they elect to go out to D.C. to be furious as well. They don't want you to act like you're upset. They want you to really be upset about the plight that they're experiencing. They want you to do something about it. That's the rift that I've seen. Is you have a Democratic Party, you have a set of folks who are prepared for the fight, who are ready for the moment, who are going to do every single thing necessary and possible to protect their communities. And then you have another wing that is still trying to go along to get along. The good news is I've been one of the Democrats who was aggressively pushing the fight well before it was popular or sexy. When I ran for office in 2019, I ran on we have to start being more aggressive in our tactics to be able to protect communities and advance our policies. That's why I had no problem suing Greg Abbott when he tried to eliminate the elections administrator in only Harris County so that Republicans could have greater control over our elections. That's why I had no problem suing state agencies when they allowed concrete batch plans to pollute in only black and brown neighborhoods, but you go to the white folks' neighborhoods and you don't see a single concrete batch plan. That's why I had no problem suing the Trump administration when he cut healthcare programs out here in Harris County. And in every one of those fights, I was successful. So I have no problem throwing the punches, and I think it's time the Democratic Party catch up with that ethos that you're being elected to do whatever is necessary to protect your communities. Republicans seem to get that, and Democrats are struggling to get it.
Speaking of Greg Abbott, I'll follow you. What was your read on what y'all did, they did, I should say, inside of Texas with redistricting? I'm sitting in L.A. This program is syndicated, so you're being heard across the country, but I'm based in L.A., as you well know. And everybody saw what we did on Prop 50 here in California as a result of what y'all did in Texas. I saw Gavin Newsom was campaigning for somebody or doing something in Texas yesterday. But what's your read on what Texas did on this redistricting front?
It was shameful and it was racist. The President of the United States had his Department of Justice reach out to the leaders in the state of Texas, all of whom were Republican, and say, I want you to target these minority majority districts, so these are black and brown districts, in order to shift representation so that they can pick up more Republican seats. And the reason that he did that was because his so-called big beautiful bill is deeply unpopular. It turns out making it more difficult to access Medicaid is not popular. It turns out cutting SNAP benefits is not popular. And so instead of trying to win over the hearts and minds of Americans, the president simply tried to have Republican legislators pencil whip, just completely redraw the maps in order to give more representation to Republicans. So down here on the ground, we did every single thing we could to fight it. You saw state legislators break quorum. You saw folks from across our communities go testify in opposition. But in the end, the governor chose President Trump over our communities. And it's absolutely shameful. On top of that, here in the 18th Congressional District, when our recent member, former mayor and Congressman Sylvester Turner, passed away in March, the governor had the option to call the election to take place in June. But instead, he delayed that election, and now we're still without representation more than 8 months later. I think what Greg Abbott and what Republicans in Texas are making clear is that they could not care less about the issues that face black and brown communities. They have no problem throwing us under the bus. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Donald Trump would have called down here and said, hey, I want you to redraw River Oaks or Westview or whatever other majority white community out here, the governor said, absolutely not. I want to support and protect Texans, and I'm not going to do that. But he had no problem throwing us under the bus. So I believe that those maps were intentionally racist, and I hope that the court that is overhearing the challenge under the Voting Rights Act rules the right way, bans the maps so that the case can go up to the United States Supreme Court.
So clearly you're qualified, not just articulate, as they like to call us, but eloquent. And you have the track record that makes it clear that you belong in Congress. You came in first in that in that election, the special election, and now you're in a runoff with another person. But all this begs the question: why, Kristen Menefee, with all the mess, the cesspool that Congress is right now? Why you want to do this, man?
It's so crazy, man. I was just asked this the other day too. Yeah, I must have been talking to each other.
Yeah.
Look, man, it was a thoughtful, a helpful, compassionate government that gave me my fair shot at the American dream. When I was growing up, there were many nights I would not have eaten were it not for the WIC program. Many days I would have been at school on an empty stomach were it not for free lunch in our public schools. My parents would have never purchased their first home were it not for VA down payment assistance that allowed them to, when I was in high school, put just $500 down and get our first house. I'd have never went to college without a Pell Grant, and my brother almost certainly would have died from cancer were it not for my parents' military health benefits that fully funded his bone marrow transplant. At every single step, it was a thoughtful, helpful, compassionate government. That's how you get someone like me who comes from a family that sent more people to prison than to college, to me being the youngest person and the first African-American elected county attorney for the third largest county in the entire country. So when I look at my boys, I have 2 young sons, when I look at their generation, and then I look at DC and I see that they're snatching out that ladder, they're taking away their fair shot at the American dream, it deeply angers me. And, I believe in a country where you can work hard, you can do everything that's expected of you, and you can find your way to success. But right now, Donald Trump is in no way trying to create that America. And in fact, he's setting us back as far as he can. So years ago, when I was practicing at my first law firm, I was talking to a partner who was just a fantastic trial lawyer. We had just come off of a trial. And I asked him, I said, hey, why don't you run for judge? You get this law stuff. You're very smart. You're very quick on your feet. You would do a fantastic job. And he looked at me and he said, Christian, I'm no umpire. I'm on the field. For the important games, I am on the field. And for some reason, that always stuck with me. And it's the way that I approach politics. Right now, the fight for the soul of our country is happening in Washington, D.C. What kind of public servant would I be to try to run away from that? I believe that the decisions that are made right now, the fights that are had right now, will shape policy in this country for the next 50 years. We just saw them overturn Roe v. Wade. We know that at some point they're going to be looking at doing everything they can to gut the Voting Rights Act even more than they've already done in the past few years. These fights will set the stage for the next 50 years in our country. And what kind of public servant would I be to run away from that? I am in the game. I am prepared for the fight. And I'm going to do every single thing I can to protect the communities that I love, that I care about, that raised me and that gave me an opportunity to be where I am in the first place.
I will yield the balance of my 90 seconds to the Harris County attorney to answer this exit question very quickly, which is how you process your perhaps standing or in the shoes or sitting in the seat of these iconic Black Americans: Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, Sheila Jackson Lee, Sylvester Turner, and maybe Christian Menefee.
Well, it is potentially a heavy mantle, to be sure. But, I was the first African-American elected to the job that I have right now. And I'll never forget, I went to a school one day for a Black History Month program, and there was a young kid who was dressed up as me for Black History. It was an incredibly humbling experience, but it reminded me of the importance of there's always someone coming after you who's looking, and so it's up to you to act with integrity, to be forceful, to be vigorous in protection of your communities. The through line between every single member of Congress from the 18th Congressional District of Texas is that they have never been afraid to, even on the national stage, stand up on behalf of the people that they serve. That's why I can get in any room and talk about how I believe in reparations for descendants of enslaved Africans. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the demographic makeup of that room, but I'm going to say it unabashedly. That's why I can say in any room that I'm going to fight to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, because I am unafraid of standing resolutely on the things that I believe in protecting Black folks across this country, including everybody in my district. So my goal is not to be Barbara Jordan or Sheila Jackson Lee or Craig Washington or Sylvester Turner or Erica Lee Carter. My goal is to just be Christian Menefee. But I'm going to be that in a real vigorous way, in the same way that I've been as Harris County attorney. That's how I'll be if I'm elected to Congress.
He's one of the 2 persons in this runoff for this special election to fill the seat in the storied 18th Congressional seat out of Texas, which covers the area of Houston. County Attorney Menefee, an honor to have had you on this program. I enjoyed listening to you, learning from you, and look forward to following your career in the months and years to come. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you. Be blessed.
Same to you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says Senator Chuck Schumer went over the top in the shutdown fight, accusing him of changing on Israel.
Well, I think he made a mistake in going too far. Well, he just went too far. He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him.
In a Fox News interview, Trump also blasted ICE chaos, criticized California Governor Gavin Newsom, and defended plans for a White House ballroom. New York City Mayor Eric Adams heads to Israel Friday to meet officials and tech leaders focusing on combating anti-Semitism. He returns Tuesday and says he plans to write a book, work on a documentary, and pursue a doctorate after leaving office. And Sean Diddy Combs has entered a drug rehab program at Fort Dix Prison in New Jersey, which could cut a year off his sentence. Combs is serving over 4 years for a prostitution-related conviction. His lawyers say he battled addiction for years. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hard rock style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got back on track after a 20-point loss in Atlanta on Saturday. They beat Charlotte Monday night, 121-111. Productive game for Luka Doncic, 38 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. Austin Reeves dropped 24. The Lakers are 8-3. They're at Oklahoma City Wednesday night. Things continue to look bad for the Clippers. They lost their 5th straight game Monday night, a 105-102 loss to Atlanta at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Kawhi Leonard did not play. James Harden had 35 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds, but he had no help. No one else in the game for the Clippers scored more than 13 points. Very tough times early in the season for Clippers coach Ty Lue. The Clippers are 3-7. They're at home against Denver Wednesday night. For the 3rd straight week, Tavis Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers are the nation's #2 college football team behind Ohio State. Indiana is 10-0. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA County offers free meals at certain parks. There are meals and snacks for kids and seniors. Visit parks.lacounty.gov to find out which centers are offering which programs and to register in advance. And in addition to offering 2 free meals per day for all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. The meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
From Kristen Menefee to Rachel Corbett, who's an award-winning features writer at New York Magazine, on right now to discuss her new text. It's called The Monsters We Make, Murder, Obsession, and the Rise of Criminal Profiling. So what exactly is criminal profiling? Does it work? Why are so many people entranced by it? And what do we gain, and for that matter, in danger, from studying why people commit murders? So many questions for Rachel Corbett. So many questions, so little time. But let's get started. Rachel Corbett, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. If I complained, I'd be an ingrate, even with all the drama that is encircling us at the moment. I'd still be an ingrate if I complained. I'm doing well. Once again, the book is called The Monsters We Make, Murder, Obsession, and the Rise of Criminal Profiling. Let me start with some of those basic questions I just posed a moment ago. What is criminal profiling?
I think most people think of it as the FBI's behavioral science unit, the guys who in the 1970s became known for being able to sort of predict who would commit a murder. They, instead of traditional forensic detectives, these investigators would look at what they called the behavioral DNA, or the psychological fingerprints that would be left on a crime scene. And so they would start to think about, what does the victim say about the killer? What kind of person would do this? Is it someone who is getting some kind of gratification from this crime? What was the emotional resonance, perhaps? And I think of profiling as something much more broad because we've been using it throughout history, in fact, well before the FBI. And today now with predictive policing and algorithm policing and that sort of thing, we are profiling in a different way.
Again, to these basic questions, and we'll drill a little deeper. Why are we so entranced by this? I mean, there are TV shows, there are documentaries, there are books, as you well know. Why are we so entranced by this notion, this subject of criminal profiling?
I think we are just drawn to the things we can't understand, and specifically murder. There's this fundamental human desire to know what terrifies us the most. And if we know it, we think we're in control of it somehow. We can conquer it. I think that true crime shows give us an opportunity to come close to the threats, and particularly women, who are the most common consumers of true crime media. It's a way to sort of feel the dangers that you might feel every day, but it gets resolved in 42 minutes. You might learn something or feel like you learned something. I would argue this stuff is mostly fictional nonsense, but I think there's just a draw. And when we make stories out of crimes, when we narrativize them, we take control of them in some way. We make sense of them. And this is something irrational that we try to rationalize, and we keep doing it. So we're never fully satiated by any one TV show because we never really fundamentally ever really know what's going on in a murderer's mind.
You went there, so let me follow you. Why is it that women do, in fact, I've seen this data in a variety of places, why is it that women do, in fact, make up the largest audience for these true crime serials? Why women watching this kind of stuff?
There's a few theories. if, some psychiatrists say that it has to do with that proximity, the feeling of proximity of your fear, but from a safe distance. So you're close, but safe. And some women even describe feeling like they are learning tips on how to navigate people in their life, men who might scare them. If you And again, it's a lot of these shows are specifically about the criminal mind, and that's to do with having feeling like you understand them, and then if you understand them, you are sort of safe. You sort of neutralize their danger in some way.
Yep. So what do we gain, as I said earlier, or for that matter, in danger, from studying why people do in fact commit murder?
So I think there's sort of two pieces to profiling. One is the studying part. I think we can learn a lot. There's a whole history of psychiatric research on violence, on juvenile offenders, adult offenders, and there's many ideas in neurology, biology, psychiatry about the various factors that go into the making of a murderer. And we can talk about those, but there's also the part where the police are doing it. And this is where I think it gets a little more complicated, because that's not just studying the criminal mind, that's actually putting into action the research. And when you predict who might become a killer, for example, that almost always leads to problems. Just because someone has characteristics that might make them fit a profile doesn't mean that that individual person is, of course, the perpetrator or would-be perpetrator. So I think that I would like to see, I think some of this needs to stay more in the realm of research in the scientific community, and maybe the policing should take a different tack.
Since you went there, I'll follow you. What are some of those factors that go into the making of a murderer, as you put it?
There's almost always some kind of childhood trauma, perhaps abuse. There can be biological processes that affect one's behavior, such as if you have an injury, say in your amygdala, and that is, or the part of the brain that controls your impulses. Imagine somebody who's abused as a child who is hit on the head in that, and has that kind of injury. Not only are they going to be angry and perhaps, feeling shame from the abuse they endured, but now they also have an enhanced ability to act on that anger. Also, there's psychiatric disorders. Paranoia is something that can be common in people who kill others. Sociopathy. There's all different kinds of factors. It's just not ever any one factor. It's usually multifarious, and it's not, in my opinion, it's not evil. It's not something we're born with. It's a lot of factors coming together.
What is it? I could have started our conversation here with these next two questions. What is it about this subject matter that so fascinates you that you want to spend all this time doing the research for this book, The Monsters That We Make?
So I write in the introduction about a personal connection I have to this subject. When I was a child, after my parents' divorce, my mother met a man who she dated for several years, who shortly after they broke up, he ended up murdering his next girlfriend and then killed himself. And I didn't know about the murder at that point in time. My mother just told me that he had committed suicide. But when I was in my early 20s and I had moved to New York from Iowa, I looked back into the newspapers and I realized that he had killed a woman and killed his dog, and that the woman had a child, a 6-year-old boy who was left outside the house that day. And I became fascinated with understanding how this man, who had never been violent, had always been kind, at least in my eyes as a child, could have done something so horrific. And I spoke to sociologists and psychiatrists and everyone around the crime, the local police who investigated it. And I found that Scott did fit a profile in a way. It's common in rural areas. It's almost always men. It's almost always with a gun. The victim is almost always a female partner. And the men have often just lost a job before they commit these crimes. But it didn't make me feel like I understood it. This description of this type of man didn't feel like Scott, the man I knew. And so I became interested in my own interest, in my own fascination with what did I think I would resolve if I profiled him? What meaning would I really get? Could I ever really know what was in his mind that day? And that's something that I think is more universal. For me, it was personal, but I think we all think about how could someone do the unthinkable? And we just keep trying to figure out. So this book is in a way about that attempt to know the things we cannot know.
We don't know the name of her mother's ex-boyfriend who went on to murder and commit suicide, but we do know these names: Jack the Ripper, Ted Bundy, Ted Kaczynski, and others. And her research for this book is pretty fascinating. I'll let her tell you more about researching these persons and more. And then I could have started our conversation here, but the book is titled The Monsters We Make, Murder, Obsession, and the Rise of Criminal Profiling. You know what I want to ask, right? Why the monsters we make? Who's the we? The monsters we make. We'll unpack that as well when we come forward with Rachel Corbett on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Dateline Friday, November 7, 2025. Dear Mr. Pizarro, I hope that this letter finds you well. As you know, last evening, KBLA Talk 1580 hosted an Altadena Town Hall entitled Understanding the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. The venue was at capacity, and as KBLA has maintained all along, no plaintiff's counsel was involved in any aspect of the program, such that Southern California Edison could well have participated per its initial commitment in writing on October 7, 2025. That said, in both private communications and public pronouncements, we note that SCE has offered to appear on KBLA Talk 1580 to address the Altadena community regarding its fast pay program, which was discussed in depth at last night's gathering. We would like to accept SCE's offer and invite you, Mr. Pizarro, to appear on KBLA's nationally syndicated radio program, Tavis Smiley. The show broadcasts weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are happy for you to choose any day, any hour for a live in-studio conversation. Please let us know which day and time work best for you. We look forward to welcoming you to our studios in Leimert Park. Sincerely, Tavis Smiley, founder, Smiley Audio Media, Inc., Chief Visionary Officer, KBLA Talk 1580, host, Tavis Smiley. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Freedom is an endless meeting, So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Rachel Corbett. The book is called The Monsters We Make, Murder, Obsession, and the Rise of Criminal Profiling. Why the monsters we make? Rachel, who's the we?
The we is society. The we is detectives, police. I didn't want to write a book that's about how a murderer is made, the making of a murder, how the monsters, that are made, and take away the agency that these are ideas that are written. These are stories that we tell. There are lots of people that are involved in the making of a monster. And there are society has monsters in every era. There are different types of monsters. The serial killer became a monster mostly in the 1970s with Ted Bundy. Before that, it was ghouls and it was supernatural monsters. And I think this is important to think about the role that monsters play in culture, the fact that we really kind of need them in society. But it's also about how sometimes in profiling criminals or would-be criminals, police can sometimes make the thing they're trying to resolve. I have a chapter in the book about predictive policing and how sometimes that can put a person into the pipeline of the criminal justice system and end up turning them towards crime in a way that maybe they would have never been originally oriented.
Yeah. I make no apologies for these persons and for their horrendous crimes. And yet, when I saw this title, I must honestly confess, I thought about Dr. King, who this audience knows I regard as the greatest American this country has ever produced, Martin Luther King Jr. That's my assessment. And King once famously said that there's some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us. Some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best. My friend Brian Stevenson puts it this way: none of us are our worst deeds. And so I wonder whether or not referring to these folk as monsters allows us to lose sight of whatever humanity they possess, whatever that might be.
Yes, well, I think I mean monsters in the kind of storybook way, that they are sort of products of a narrative, because of course there are no real monsters. We're all human.
Right.
But we turn people into monsters, and that I think you're exactly right. I agree with those quotes entirely. That Scott Johnson to me was both things, a murderer and a very loving man. It's very complex. So I agree with you that monster is, I think that's how society treats people sometimes, and those are the issues I want to explore in this book.
The book is called The Monsters We Make, Murder, Obsession, and the Rise of Criminal Profiling. In our remaining moments with Rachel, we'll let her tell you more about the research for the book. I mentioned some of those names earlier. I'll let her talk about that part when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is Community Call to Action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
Rachel, I've got 2.5 minutes left. Let's see if you can do two things in 2.5 minutes. One, just say a quick word about your research. I mentioned some of those names of persons whose stories you traced and tracked. And one who may say a final word here about what predictive policing is going to mean into the future. Can you do all that in 2.5 minutes?
I'll try.
Okay.
So my research really goes back to phrenology, when we were looking at the bumps on the skull to predict who is going to be a criminal. And it really ties into predictive policing, because that era is when we really started profiling. And we believe that, certain features were more tied to criminality. So they found that the features that were determined to be the most criminal were, perhaps unsurprisingly, those of immigrants in Europe. So African features, Asian features. And then, over time, the predictions evolved to more behavioral markers with the FBI, for example. And today we're seeing the latest extension of that is really this predictive policing, algorithm policing. Now more and more AI is involved. And it's kind of just reverted. The methods throughout history have become more scientific. There's new technologies, but the outcomes are often the same. The people that are most targeted by predictive policing, and in many studies have shown that it disproportionately targets Black communities, poor communities, some of the same communities that were targeted back in the 1800s, for example, as potential criminals. And I look at one really horrific case study in the book about a family in Florida who was profiled by local police who were targeting children that they believe were going to become criminals in the future.
Mm. The book is called The Monsters We Make, Murder, Obsession, and the Rise of Criminal Profiling. The author is Rachel Corbett, award-winning features writer at New York Magazine. It's a fascinating read, and I found it eye-opening in a lot of ways. I'll leave it at that. Rachel, good to have you on the program. Congrats on the book, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you on. When we come forward in the next hour, for the hour, conversation with the former host of MSNBC, best-selling author Chris Matthews on his new book, Lessons from Bobby, 10 Reasons Why Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters. Chris Matthews coming up next on Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says Senator Chuck Schumer went over the top in the shutdown fight, accusing him of changing on Israel.
Well, I think he made a mistake in going too far. Well, he just went too far. He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him.
In a Fox News interview, Trump also blasted ICE chaos, criticized California Governor Gavin Newsom, and defended plans for a White House ballroom. New York City Mayor Eric Adams heads to Israel Friday to meet officials and tech leaders focusing on combating anti-Semitism. He returns Tuesday and says he plans to write a book, work on a documentary, and pursue a doctorate after leaving office. And Sean Diddy Combs has entered a drug rehab program at Fort Dix Prison in New Jersey, which could cut a year off his sentence. Combs is serving over 4 years for a prostitution-related conviction. His lawyers say he battled addiction for years. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hard rock style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got back on track after a 20-point loss in Atlanta on Saturday. They beat Charlotte Monday night, 121-111. Productive game for Luka Doncic, 38 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. Austin Reeves dropped 24. The Lakers are 8-3. They're at Oklahoma City Wednesday night. Things continue to look bad for the Clippers. They lost their 5th straight game Monday night, a 105-102 loss to Atlanta at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Kawhi Leonard did not play. James Harden had 35 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds, but he had no help. No one else in the game for the Clippers scored more than 13 points. Very tough times early in the season for Clippers coach Ty Lue. The Clippers are 3-7. They're at home against Denver Wednesday night. For the 3rd straight week, Tavis Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers are the nation's number 2 college football team behind Ohio State. Indiana is 10-0. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Dateline Friday, November 7, 2025. Dear Mr. Pizarro, I hope that this letter finds you well. As you know, last evening, KBLA Talk 1580 hosted an Altadena Town Hall entitled Understanding the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. The venue was at capacity, and as KBLA has maintained all along, no plaintiff's counsel was involved in any aspect of the program, such that Southern California Edison could well have participated per its initial commitment in writing on October 7, 2025. That said, in both private communications and public pronouncements, we note that SCE has offered to appear on KBLA Talk 1580 to address the Altadena community regarding its fast pay program, which was discussed in depth at last night's gathering. We would like to accept SCE's offer and invite you, Mr. Pizarro, to appear on KBLA's nationally syndicated radio program, Tavis Smiley. The show broadcasts weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are happy for you to choose any day, any hour for a live in-studio conversation. Please let us know which day and time work best for you. We look forward to welcoming you to our studios in Leimert Park. Sincerely, Tavis Smiley, founder, Smiley Audio Media, Inc., Chief Visionary Officer, KBLA Talk 1580, host, Tavis Smiley. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Come on, radio. Hey, Kat, if I walk down the street, I'll call it.
I hate stepping on Bobby Brown, but the voice you heard stepping on Bobby Brown was not mine. That was the voice of Chris Matthews. He's on Zoom and apparently didn't know he was live on radio. Fortunately, he didn't say nothing crazy or stupid. But that was Chris Matthews stepping on Bobby Brown, not Tavis Smiley. But I am delighted to welcome my friend and brother Chris Matthews back to this program. Former MSNBC host, as you well know. Perennial New York Times bestselling author. His latest on the centennial of his birth is a book about Bobby Kennedy. The book is titled Lessons from Bobby, 10 Reasons Why Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters. And knowing Chris Matthews as I do, I know he's got something to say about these Democratic defectors and RFK Jr. I'm glad I've got Chris Matthews for the hour. There's a whole lot to unpack. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, Tavis. Thank you for having me on my pub date.
Yeah, man. Trust me. Let me thank you. I was just about to say you beat me to it. I am always honored when friends and colleagues and those I've known for years and those I don't know so well choose this platform as one of the platforms to appear on the day their book comes out. Sometimes in advance of the book coming out. So trust me, it is a signal honor for me to have one of your stature on this program the day that a book like this comes out. So thank you for choosing this program to be on. I deeply appreciate it. Before I get into the book, we can get this out of the way first. I know you got some thoughts, everybody else does, on these Democratic defectors. How are you reading this storyline?
Well, look, here's the question. And, it precedes the question from you. Was this the right strategy? Mm-hmm. Was this a way to free up Medicaid spending and ACA spending, Obamacare spending from the Republicans who control the majority in both houses? Was it the right way? And the problem is, I think there is one, that other things will come up, whether it's food stamps, SNAP, or it's going to be air traffic controllers falling asleep on the job, and maybe an airplane crash, who knows? Or other incidents are going to come along. Are other things going to come up? I mean, Harold Macmillan, the former prime minister of Great Britain, used to say, events, my man, events. Events occur. And what happened in the last week or so is all of a sudden we realized the food stamps were running out. We're going to run out. And the air traffic controllers and the TSA people were getting not paid. And they're not very happy, and they're getting probably groggy, who knows? And other things came along, and somewhere in the midst of all that, these Democrats began to say, wait a minute, we got to end this thing, because they are not going to end it. And this is where I agree with them. I don't think the Republicans give a damn about Obamacare. The only one who did was John McCain, and John McCain refused to vote it down. So I think they were quite willing to let this thing go on and on and on through Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever. And I don't know what would have happened. I guess they were going to count on something happening. I know what's fighting about. I know how to fight. I think this was not going to win. That's what I think. So we'll see. I think we'll see. There's going to be an argument in the Democratic Party, as there's going to be all the way through 26 and 28. There's going to be a part. Do we go to the left? Do we go to the center? Yeah. These fights are not going away. I think we got to go with a center-left coalition. I think we got to get somebody on the ticket that reflects the thinking and the feelings of the left. But we get somebody on that ticket that can win. Yeah, absolutely can win over the J.D. Vances or whoever the hell else they ran it. You cannot lose an election like coming up.
Take it. There are two things you just said now I want to interrogate. We got the whole hour. I'm going to get to the book. I promise there's a whole lot in this book I do want to give Chris a chance to unpack. If I hear what you're saying correctly, you think that this strategy, the Democratic strategy, this tactic was flawed from the very beginning?
Because you cannot lead with your chin. You can't say, I care about something, therefore the other guy's going to give on it.
Right.
You got to pick where you can win. You cannot pick the most luscious thing that you can imagine winning on. If you can imagine the Republican Party voting for Obamacare, you're not in the same planet I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm not on that planet. They hate it. They call it socialist or whatever they want to sell. Any improvement in health care for this country, they're against. They were against Medicaid. They were against Medicare all the way back. They are that way. And I don't think they were going to give. I didn't see Thune living. Thune is a fairly tough guy.
Yeah.
And this guy, I don't know about Johnson, about what his qualities are, but I don't know if he has any, but he was consistently putting out the word that the Democrats were supporting health care funding for people in the country illegally. He said that every single minute. And the Democrats opposed it, sort of, but I don't know. He was winning that argument in his community. He was winning the argument where it mattered. It was poison for them. They heard that and they say, you're right, they're wrong.
Yep. So two things for Chris Matthews when we come forward on this particular topic, and then we'll work our way into the book, Lessons from Bobby, 10 Reasons Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters, the book out on the centennial of Robert F. Kennedy's birth. So two things that Chris said a moment ago I want to give a chance to unpack in a moment here. These terms can be, to me at least, amorphous and elastic. So Chris says what the Democrats need right now is a center-left coalition. What's that mean? What does that look like, a center-left coalition? I want to ask him about that when we come forward. And secondly, he says that, I take his point, that maybe this was a flawed strategy by Democrats in the first place, specifically if they weren't going to stick with it. But the data, all the data, Chris Matthews knows, he reads what I read, all the data suggests that they were winning on this with the public writ large. Now, they may not have been winning on it with Republicans or with Donald Trump, but every bit of data that's out today, everything that came out yesterday shows that Democrats were winning on this issue, holding out. So why does Chris think that Republicans would never have caved on this? Those two questions for Chris Matthews, and then we're going to spend the rest of our time talking about the new book, Lessons from Bobby, 10 Reasons Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters. The book is out today. It's pub day for Chris Matthews, and I'm delighted to have him on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay!
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Chris Matthews, 2 follow-ups, and then straight away into his book for the rest of the hour, Lessons from Bobby, 10 Reasons Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters. It is the year of his centennial, so we'll jump into that in just a second here. So these terms, as I said, Chris, are sort of elastic. When you say what Democrats need right now is a center-left coalition, unpack that a bit more for me.
Well, first of all, you have to understand what's probably going on inside the United States Senate Democratic minority.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that there were 8 defectors, if you will, they're not simply defectors. That's too neat a number. That's the number to get past the filibuster problem, to get the 60 votes.
Right.
You think they don't know that that was just the number they needed?
Mm-hmm.
You think Schumer didn't know that? Come on. They knew that they needed 8 voters to get this thing right. Just like the Republicans knew they could accept 2 defectors, if you will, from the big, beautiful bill.
Right.
Fitzpatrick in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, who was very close to losing. And they said, we got to save that guy. Let's give him a walk.
Mm-hmm.
So I know they needed 8. I think there's a lot of thinking behind the closed doors, if you will. I think the whole Democratic Party, not Bernie Sanders, for example, but generally, they're thinking, why do we want to have a Custer's last stand on this? If all we're going to do is shut the government down ad infinitum, forever, through Christmas, through New Year's, we're going to be the ones eventually that take the heat on this. And I know the Democrats won effectively in New Jersey and Virginia and in California and in Mississippi and in Georgia and in Bucks County, all those places last week.
Yep.
Great. Are there diminishing returns? At some point, does the president have the power to point the finger at the Democrats and say, you're the guys causing the air traffic control problem and perhaps air danger? And I think that's a problem. So I don't know. I was thinking it through only with one way. I'm thinking I know one thing that other people may not know.
Yeah.
Republicans hate Obamacare.
Yeah.
They hate Medicaid. Mike Johnson hates Medicaid. They don't like these social programs. They don't like any social program like that. And they're not going to give on it.
Yeah.
They'll lose at home.
Yeah.
They won't do it.
So
I think we're stuck in this situation in a stalemate.
Yeah.
And I think that some of the Democrats decide to say, let's get out of it.
So to your point, how do you think these Democrats who know exactly what you just said, that they hate Obamacare, they hate social programs? I asked this question repeatedly months ago, weeks ago, whether or not this was the issue. Is this the issue? This social program, as it were, in air quotes, is this the issue on which you want to draw a line in the sand in, knowing how much they hate it? What do you make of the fact that they to your point, sort of miscalculated on this being the issue all those weeks ago, Chris?
Well, sometimes you tend to argue your best case.
Right.
You fight the bad guys in the other party. For example, back in 56, Bobby Kennedy, a young man, said, Democrats are making a big mistake. They're running against Dick Nixon, who's the vice presidential nominee, the vice president of the United States, with Eisenhower. He said, we know the left hates Nixon.
Yeah.
We're not getting any points for that. Everybody hates Nixon on the left, but you want to get some votes in the center, find another target. And so he was trying to figure things out like I'm trying to figure it out. Go to the other side's weak point.
Yeah.
Go where they have to give, and that hit them there.
Yep.
Hit them where they have to break.
Got it.
You want them to break.
Last question. Then rest of the time on the text. The data that you're reading, that I'm reading, that everybody's reading, suggests that Democrats were in fact winning on this with the public, if not the Republicans. That didn't matter to you?
What? Which is that?
The data suggests that Democrats were winning on this issue, this holdout. They were winning on this issue with the public.
They could be in the rhetorical argument. I agree with you.
Right.
I mean, people don't like programs cut. Real people don't like them.
Right.
The Republican leadership are a different breed of character there. They have their own issues.
Right.
But I'll tell you where we agree, I know, is that in 26 coming up next year, and not so far off, the primaries are coming up. We got to win some campaigns. We got to get a majority in the House, and we got a good shot at it. I think the Republicans made a mistake saying they're going to pick up 5 seats in Texas, which get the Democrats with Gavin Newsom to push for 5 or 6 seats in California and some other places. This is not going to be a 5-vote seat election. There's going to be come next November, 30-some states changing hands. That's what happens in midterms. You get a real blowback. And if the mood is still the way it is with affordability right now and the opposition to some other things, I think the Democrats are going to do well. If they got any, they had a lot of spark. I like the Mikey Sherrill. I liked her.
Yeah.
She reminded me of the cereal commercial about Mikey likes the cereal. There was something about her that said, wow, she likes being here.
Yeah.
She likes being in politics. You know, she's ready for it. She took that guy on and she won big. People want to hear people that like what they're doing and they look like they can win and be. Obama had that. In 2004, he had it. And I said, you just saw the first black president right there. And my gut was right.
Yeah.
People liked him. And not everybody. I wish that everybody did like him. But the country's divided as hell.
Yep, no question.
And, you don't know. The conversation you and I are having is not the general American conversation. Unfortunately, it's not. There are people out there listening to every word that Trump says, and they believe he says. There's no inflation. He did. He said it today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Give me a break. What planet are you? We're going to look at the gas pump. Look at food prices, and it is real. Affordability. You know, Ma'am Donnie was right. He hit the right button. He talked about people's lives. You know, his stuff isn't all going to work, but I hope he understands his job's to be mayor and to focus on it.
Yep.
The job is mayor. That means showing up when the snow falls, plow that snow off the highway.
Yeah.
Keep the peace.
Yep. They're trying to pull his job is to be mayor of New York City. He better get that right if he don't get nothing else right. And you're right. When it snows, they want that snow off the streets. I'll leave that there. We'll spend the rest of our time talking about the new book out today. It's pub day for Chris Matthews. Lessons from Bobby. 10 Reasons Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters. It is clear to any of your fans, and I count myself one of them, Chris Matthews, we know that you got a thing for Bobby Kennedy. You've got a thing. You've written about the Kennedys.
Yeah, I have it developed really in its full extent.
Right.
I prayed for him to beat Gene McCarthy in California. And I was a young man, but I prayed for that. And I wanted it to happen. I said, this is the only chance we end this terrible war in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been teaching over in Vietnam, believe it or not. You don't know this, but I've been teaching over there every year for 5 years now.
Wow.
In Ho Chi Minh City at a school in English for young kids that want to make it, don't have the money to come to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that got me was the pictures. Have you seen the scenes along the railroad tracks from New York to Washington when he was buried in Arlington Cemetery after he was shot?
Yep.
The pictures are so American that the 20,000 African Americans, mainly in Philly, my town, who stood and sang in spontaneity the Battle Hymn of the Republic, the Civil War song, the Northern song. The white people, the real working class white people who lived along the tracks, the cellar tracks, and stood and saluted. They were obviously enlisted men in the army, and they were saluting in birth order sometimes. They had their kids lined up, all saluting Bobby Kennedy. And the communities were different, but they were both believed in this guy, that he was going to look out for the working guy and the poor people. And I think that's a memory that he worked toward. I mean, he would drive around in Gary, Indiana, a working white town, and he would go ride around town with Tony Zale, the former middleweight champ, who beat Rocky Graciano twice. And on the other side was Richard Hatcher, the first African-American mayor of that city. He wanted everybody to see in an open car. He wanted them all to see, look, I'm with both sides. We're together. And that's what I'm doing here. Yeah. And, everybody likes football, right? Everybody likes SEC football. Well, look at the guys playing backfield and look at the guys in those football teams. Look at Alabama. He integrated Alabama. Bobby Kennedy did. And Bobby Kennedy integrated Ole Miss. He did it. The governor of that state, Ross Barnett, said, that boy, he said that boy's not going to go to Ole Miss. Oh, yeah? He was. He got in that. James Meredith got in. Yep. They got a statue of him down there. And they're proud of that integration down there now.
Yep.
And now they weren't then. Those white people were screaming on the corner against James Meredith.
Yep.
And George Wallace did stand in the doorway when he integrated Alabama, University of Alabama, after the hell that went on in Birmingham with the kids, the school kids getting fire hoses turned on them.
That's right.
Bobby did all that, but he was a tough liberal. He also believed in law and order. He did not like what happened in the city of Washington got burned after Dr. King was killed. You know, he spoke against the killer, and he was so courageous in Indianapolis and the Hoosierville out there, and a black crowd. And he said, he had to tell the people in that crowd, there was no social media, there was no cell phones, there was nothing like that. Nobody knew that he'd been killed.
King had died.
Dr.
Yeah,
King
exactly.
had been killed.
Yeah.
He had to tell him.
That's right.
He had to tell him. He said, yeah, and my brother was killed by a white guy too.
Yeah.
And it was an odd thing I heard at the time. That's kind of an odd thing to say. That wasn't a racial killing. It's a white guy and a white guy. But it was his kind of awkward way of saying, I understand some of your rage. That's what I called an earlier book on Bobby Kane, a raging hero, a raging spirit.
Yeah.
I did have that rage, and nobody could have more of a rage than he had when his brother was shot down.
Let me cut in here on the civil rights issues. You know this history as well as I do, better than I do. And Bobby and Jack, for that matter, they were not always on the right side of civil rights history. Bobby had a transformation, and I think some of that had to do with his going to Mississippi on that poverty tour that he basically took. But there was a time when they were wiretapping Dr. King. So if you know the history as you do,
they didn't like his Cold War buddies. Some of them.
Yeah, but
King tried to get rid of them, or didn't quite get rid of them. Nobody's perfect. Even Dr. King. This whole thing in the Cold War was not dreamed up. But you're right about transformation. And that's what I like about Bobby.
Right.
Here's a couple things I dug up.
Okay.
And they're in the book. Back in the early 60s, the common term for an African American was let's see,
Negro, colored, yeah.
Negro. Negro was a proper term.
That's right.
Proper term.
That's right.
In society. And I think Jesse Jackson may have really transformed us into all saying and thinking African American. It was just like other ethnic groups, but it's like European ethnic groups.
That's right.
African American made sense. But, he said, I didn't lose a lot of sleep over Negroes, he said. And then he became Attorney General. And then he had to go to war with the governor of Mississippi. And he saw the white crowds and what they did. He saw the white crowds beat up his top guy, John Siegenthaler from Tennessee, banged his head with a big pipe. And Harry Belafonte said at that time, and so did John Lewis. That's when Bobby got what he was, when he became a man who was a victim himself. He said he went through some internal change of heart. That's what Harry Belafonte said. I really like Harry on any of this stuff. And John Lewis said that. They both sort of knew him close enough to see his change of feelings. From then on, he wasn't some troubadour for civil rights. He was a believer, a feeler. He called. Remember, he called this meeting together with James Baldwin and all the African American intellectuals in the family apartment in New York. And they're all there. The woman who wrote, everybody who read James Baldwin leading the band. Everybody there was brilliant as hell. And then there's a young guy there, a guy who'd been a freedom fighter, a freedom rider. And the kid said, if they drafted me right now for that Vietnam War, I wouldn't go. In fact, I'd pull a gun. And Bobby couldn't believe this. A guy who'd pull a gun rather than do his duty, accept the draft. He couldn't believe it. And then he went home, and this is what happens all the time. He started to think. He said, he finally came to his senses, and he said, if I was that young guy, I'd talk like that too. And Dr. King said, this is going to move the Kennedys a lot faster on civil rights. What happened in that apartment in New York City, that attack basically from the whole crowd, but especially the young people. And that's when Kennedy pushed his brother to come out for civil rights in June of 1963. And that was the most powerful. That's when Dr. King said, that white guy has just hit the ball out of the park. And he couldn't believe it. Because Kennedy gave a most powerful speech about going back to the Bible, to the scriptures, to the Constitution. He went to the most nerve center of America and said, you have got to do this thing.
No, to quote
that was Bobby.
No, to quote the Godfather's soul, Dr. James Brown. Bobby eventually got on the good foot, but Chris concedes, I knew he would, that it was a transformational process that sort of got him there. And then Chris is right. He pushes his brother JFK, the president of the United States at the time. The book is called Lessons from Bobby, 10 Reasons Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters. I'll run through them right quick. Number 1, heal the divide. 2, have some guts. 3, admit your mistakes. 4, pursue ideals. 5, uphold human rights. 6, seek peace. 7, enforce the law. 8, be tough. 9, know when to concede. And 10, sacrifice. 10 reasons Robert F. Kennedy still matters. We'll jump into a couple of those directly when we come forward with Chris Matthews on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says Senator Chuck Schumer went over the top in the shutdown fight, accusing him of changing on Israel.
Well, I think he made a mistake in going too far. Well, he just went too far. He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him.
In a Fox News interview, Trump also blasted ICE chaos, criticized California Governor Gavin Newsom, and defended plans for a White House ballroom. New York City Mayor Eric Adams heads to Israel Friday to meet officials and tech leaders focusing on combating anti-Semitism. He returns Tuesday and says he plans to write a book, work on a documentary, and pursue a doctorate after leaving office. And Sean Diddy Combs has entered a drug rehab program at Fort Dix Prison in New Jersey, which could cut a year off his sentence. Combs is serving over 4 years for a prostitution-related conviction. His lawyers say he battled addiction for years. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Hard rock style is coming to the Central Valley, just 15 miles south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening November 13th.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers got back on track after a 20-point loss in Atlanta on Saturday. They beat Charlotte Monday night, 121-111. Productive game for Luka Doncic, 38 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. Austin Reeves dropped 24. The Lakers are 8-3. They're at Oklahoma City Wednesday night. Things continue to look bad for the Clippers. They lost their 5th straight game Monday night, a 105-102 loss to Atlanta at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Kawhi Leonard did not play. James Harden had 35 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds, but he had no help. No one else in the game for the Clippers scored more than 13 points. Very tough times early in the season for Clippers coach Ty Lue. The Clippers are 3-7. They're at home against Denver Wednesday night. For the 3rd straight week, Tavis Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers are the nation's #2 college football team behind Ohio State. Indiana is 10-0. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
As we go a little something like this.
Hey, it is me, D.L. Hughley, and I am thrilled to be heard weekdays in my hometown on KBLA Talk 1580. So check out the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. We got a whole lot to talk about, let me tell you. That's what the real.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA County offers free meals at certain parks. There are meals and snacks for kids and seniors. Visit parks.lacounty.gov to find out which centers are offering which programs and to register in advance. And in addition to offering 2 free meals per day for all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. The meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Chris Matthews, former MSNBC host, perennial best-selling author. His new book out today is called Lessons from Bobby, 10 Reasons Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters. I ran just a moment ago those 10 reasons. Chris, before I jump into some of these, tell me how you curated these 10 lessons.
Well, I did a lot of writing about it. I've written 2 or 3 books on Bobby, about Jack and about Nixon and Kennedy and their rivalry. And Bobby was always at the heart of it. And so I thought about him, and I think about the ones that matter right now. The newspapers are this morning's papers, like the New York Post, even them a pretty tough one. Trump.
Yeah.
Trump's out there pardoning everybody that had anything to do with blowing up the Capitol on January 6th and 21. I mean, Jesus, that's the one thing. I worked up there as a cop. I worked up there as the top aide to the speaker. I understand what it was like to have that job of looking out for people. And these people, what they did, they came in and they tried to kill all the cops and they jammed the flagpoles into them. And it was horrible. And Trump is pardoning all those people, and he's pardoning all the people involved with Epstein. And he's out there doing the wicked work. He's just doing it. And his idea of pardoning is not about special cases. It's about his cases. Pam Bondi does what he wants. She's out there charging Jim Comey and Letitia James because Trump told her to. Bobby Kennedy desegregated Ole Miss and Alabama because the Supreme Court told him to do it. This guy is just on his own. He's an outlaw, Trump, and legalizing blowing up the Capitol, blowing up our democracy. It's awful. I mean, I get upset about it because I don't understand how the people can elect this guy and keep him elected.
Yep.
It's unbelievable who he likes.
Why he
likes him.
I want to jump in. I want to jump in, Chris, to a couple of these lessons, and let's let you unpack it a little bit. I want to start with the one that you really kind of teeing up right now, and that's this notion of healing the divide. You made the point earlier that our country is as divided as ever, no question about that. What do we learn from Bobby Kennedy about healing the divide? That's the first chapter. Chris, I lose you?
I lost you a little there somewhere.
Yeah. No, my question was, what do we learn from Bobby Kennedy about healing the divide? Got a problem?
Tavis?
Yeah, Chris, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you. Let's check. Yeah. They're gonna check his line right quick. It's live radio. It happens sometimes. I can hear him loud and clear. For some reason he can't hear me. They're gonna fix that right quick. But again, the book is called Lessons from Bobby: 10 Reasons Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters. It is the centennial birth of Robert F. Kennedy, and as I said earlier, Chris Matthews has written a number of books about the Kennedys, and he has a particular fascination with Bobby. I can understand that. One of my favorite Bobby Kennedy stories, and you all know that Marion Wright Edelman is my longtime friend, as is her husband, Peter Edelman. Mary Wright Edelman, of course, founded the Children's Defense Fund and served there honorably for many, many years. She's now into retirement. She's earned that. But I love this story. Mary Wright Edelman was working for MLK, and her husband, to be, Peter Edelman, was working for RFK. So Marion's working for MLK, Peter's working for RFK. They end up meeting in Mississippi when Bobby is down there doing his tour, doing his work, and they fall in love. Marion Wright falls in love with Peter Edelman. That's how she becomes Marion Wright Edelman. But I just love the story, and I always tease Marion and Peter whenever I see them about this love story that came to be because she was working for MLK and Peter was working for RFK, and the rest, as they say, is history. Chris, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can, and I want to follow up on that
Yeah.
because in addition to the love story that you tell about, well, Bobby went home that night. Now, he grew up in affluence, like we cannot understand it. I mean, I
Yep.
can't understand it, but he grew up in a world where you didn't have to work. You didn't really have to work.
Yeah.
You could go out and do what you wanted to do, and he was going to be a civil servant in the Justice Department. But what he did that night, he had been down in Mississippi. He had seen people, poor people, living in the country, in the mountains, and down in the Delta.
In the Delta, yeah.
And he went back to it. He almost scolded his kids that night, his rich kids, where he told them, you don't know how lucky you are. You don't know what it's like to have, 3 meals a day and good food and all the milk you want to drink. And you don't get it. And he really wanted them to he preached to them. And I don't know if you can do that to a rich kid, but
not today.
I remember Bill Cosby once saying, I'm sorry, you're quoting Bill, but he said,
Yeah.
the first rich kids I ever met were my own.
Yeah. That's a great Cosby joke. It worked then, and it still works now.
The first rich kids I ever met were
my own. Yeah. Let me jump into the book. I'm watching my time here. There are a couple lessons I want to give you a chance to opine on. I was saying a moment ago when you couldn't hear me, you mentioned earlier in this conversation that our country, and you were right, is as divided as ever. And the first chapter in the book of these lessons that we can learn from Bobby, these reasons why he still matters. First chapter is called Heal the Divide. Say a word about what we can learn from Bobby about healing this divide.
Well, there's a couple divides. One is at my dinner table. One is when I come home and meet with not my immediate family. They're all to my left.
Yeah.
I talk about center left. That's me.
Yeah.
They're left. And I go.
Kathleen. Kathleen.
I
Yeah.
had a brother-in-law,
Yeah.
Notre Dame guy.
Yeah.
Nice guy in many ways, but a real Trumpy guy, although he says he's not. He is a Trumpy guy.
Yeah.
I've got another brother who's a Trumpy guy, and I can't even talk to him. So I said, dinner table, Thanksgiving dinner is a minefield.
Yeah.
You walk into that room and everybody's ready to go. Some people talk admirably of Trump, which I don't understand. Everybody else wants to kill him.
Yeah.
And it goes on. And this is in America like I've never seen it. People argued about Ronald Reagan, but not like this. It's different. And but I think the divide is cultural. It's sometimes racial, but it's also about college versus non-college. Let's be honest. A lot of the white people out there that are really angry and are pro-Trump didn't go to college, and they've been talked down to. They've been condescended to. I know this.
Yeah.
In the bubble, people look down on them. They say, "Oh, these crazy people." Maybe I just did it myself. It's a reality out there, and I have some cousins who I love, and I will never bring up Trump with because I know it'll hurt their feelings. And I'm not going to talk to them about it because I can't, because it won't work. It won't change their minds. But we are really divided, and it's class, it's race, of course, as always is, and but I think that this guy had a way of connecting, and he did it because he identified with victims. He also was for law and order. He said, look, we got to clean up. We got to get the thing organized in our society. And he didn't like what he saw when Dr. King was killed. He met with the people in Indianapolis, and then he went back to his home, and he watched the burning of the Capitol of Washington, D.C. And you still think about it, and you live in D.C. like I do, and you can see what happened to 14th Street. And it's still a scar. And he didn't understand it and like that. He said, this is wrong. And he told that to his daughter, and she told me about it.
Yeah.
Carrie told me about it.
Yeah. That's Heal the Divide. There, again, 10 reasons, 10 lessons in this book that we can learn from Bobby Kennedy when we come forward, something that Donald Trump, the aforementioned Donald Trump, that Chris just made reference to, could never do. Admit your mistakes. That is one of the lessons. Chris argues that we can learn from Bobby Kennedy all these years later. To admit your mistakes, we'll let him unpack that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another. Feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or whether they be black.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Dateline Friday, November 7, 2025. Dear Mr. Pizarro, I hope that this letter finds you well. As you know, last evening, KBLA Talk 1580 hosted an Altadena town hall entitled Understanding the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. The venue was at capacity, and as KBLA has maintained all along, no plaintiff's counsel was involved in any aspect of the program, such that Southern California Edison could well have participated per its initial commitment in writing on October 7, 2025. That said, in both private communications and public pronouncements, we note that SCE has offered to appear on KBLA Talk 1580 to address the Altadena community regarding its fast pay program, which was discussed in depth at last night's gathering. We would like to accept SCE's offer and invite you, Mr. Pizarro, to appear on KBLA's nationally syndicated radio program, Tavis Smiley. The show broadcasts weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are happy for you to choose any day, any hour for a live in-studio conversation. Please let us know which day and time work best for you. We look forward to welcoming you to our studios in Leimert Park. Sincerely, Tavis Smiley, founder, Smiley Audio Media, Inc., Chief Visionary Officer, KBLA Talk 1580, host, Tavis Smiley. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Is your loved one at the hospital or in a nursing home? Have they developed bed sores, fallen, or worse? These are things your family members should be protected from. Bed sores, falls, and dehydration are almost always the result of negligent care. If this has happened to your loved one, call Zoran at Basic Law Group at 800-215-1234 or visit basiclawgroup.com. The consultation is free, and if they don't win, you don't pay. That's 800-215-1234.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What has violence ever accomplished? What has it ever created? No martyr's cause has ever been stilled by an assassin's bullet. No wrongs have ever been righted by riots, and civil disorders. A sniper is only a coward, not a hero. And an uncontrolled or uncontrollable mob is only the voice of madness, not the voice of the people. Among free men, said Abraham Lincoln, there can be no successful appeal from the ballot to the bullet. And those who take such appeal are sure to lose their case and pay the cost. Violence breeds violence. Repression breeds retaliation. And only a cleansing of our whole society can remove this sickness from our souls. For there is another kind of violence, slower, but just as deadly destructive as the shot or the bomb in the night. This is the violence of institutions, indifference, inaction, and decay. This is the violence that afflicts the poor, that poisons relations between men because their skin has different colors. This is the slow destruction of a child by hunger, and schools without books, and homes without heat in the winter. This is the breaking of a man's spirit by denying him the chance to stand as a father and as a man amongst other men. But we can perhaps remember, if only for a time, that those who live with us are our brothers, and surely we can begin to work a little harder to bind up the wounds among us and to become in our hearts brothers and countrymen once again.
So, Chris, my time is getting tighter. When you hear Bobby in that eloquence, you think what? What are you hearing? Chris, when we come forward in our remaining moments with Chris Matthews, we'll get him back up again and get his final thoughts. You're listening to Tavis Smile.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
You made the point earlier, Chris Matthews, that Bobby Kennedy had a way of connecting with audiences. As I think about it, whether we want to admit it or not, Trump has a way of connecting with his audience as well. What's the difference?
Oh, God. The difference is Trump's a bully.
Yeah.
And he has the mannerisms of a bully that we all knew from school, grade school. The bully usually has people around him who back him up, who have the guts, only the guts to stand with him, not on their own. I knew the bullies. There's a guy named Moose. Who's Moose? We were told in grade school. And then if you ask who's Moose, you were dragged before this guy, and his henchmen would humiliate you. And Moose, this character from, I don't know where he came from. He moved into the neighborhood. And that's Trump.
Yeah.
Trump, his people around him that giggle around him and support him, and a lot of them stay quiet. I mean, I think they're deeply embarrassed by him. I think they know they're supposed to be independent people, and they're not. They mouth whatever he gives them to.
Let me
I
ask
don't think Bobby ever tried that. Bobby Kennedy never did that kind of thing. He was a guy on his own.
Let me ask you real quick. My time is getting tight. I got less than 3 minutes left. First of all, it was Moose in your neighborhood. My bully was Ralph Benson. I remember for as long as I lived, Ralph was the bully in my neighborhood. But I digress on that. I got less than 3 minutes left. These lessons, 10 in the book that we can learn from Bobby Kennedy all these years later. As I said earlier, one of the lessons that Trump will never learn is to admit your mistakes. That's chapter 3. Say a word about admitting your mistakes as it relates to Bobby Kennedy.
In 1968, a week before he was assassinated, he lost the Oregon presidential primary.
Right.
Now, he understood that neighborhood was a little better off than he was used to politically. He said, I do better with people with problems. That was a state without many problems, it seemed at the time.
Yeah.
They also held it against him, I think, that he entered the primaries a little later than Gene McCarthy had. And he lost on that front. But when he said it, when he realized he lost, he said, if I may be wrong, I'm against the war, and I care about the cities, urban people, Black people, Hispanic people. That's what I care about. Yeah. I may have to go back and just fight for them. I may not be able to make this presidential thing. I may have to go back and just fight it out back in the state in New York. And he recognized that. He said, I may have the wrong message right now, or people haven't caught up with me. Trump never says that.
Nope.
He never says I was off base in 2020. He says I win all the time.
Yeah.
He says I've always had these ideas. I always believed in them. There's no inflation. There's nothing wrong with the country. I'm perfect. I can get money wherever I need it. Where the hell is that money coming from? Whose money is that? What did he say a few hours ago? I can get money anywhere I want. That's Nixon stuff.
Yeah.
I can get $1 million. I can. Who said you can?
Yep.
Why did the person interviewing him say, who gave you the right to grab somebody else's money if it's not yours?
Yeah. That's Donald Trump for you. Obviously, quite a divide, quite a difference between Trump and Bobby Kennedy. We are celebrating the centennial birth of Robert F. Kennedy, and Chris Matthews has put a fine book out. It's called Lessons from Bobby. 10 Reasons Robert F. Kennedy Still Matters. Heal the divide. Have some guts. Admit your mistakes. Pursue ideals. Uphold human rights. Seek peace. Enforce the law. Be tough. Know when to concede. Sacrifice some of what you're going to get when you get inside the book. Chris, congrats on the book. Thanks for your time today, sir. I appreciate you.
Tavis, thank you for Pub Day. Thank you for being on with me on Pub Day.
Thanks for being on with me on Pub Day. I appreciate you. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow to do it once again, Lord willing. Until tomorrow, thanks for listening to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says Senator Chuck Schumer went over the top in the shutdown fight, accusing him of changing on Israel.
Well, I think he made a mistake in going too far. Well, he just went too far. He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him.
In a Fox News interview, Trump also blasted ICE chaos, criticized California Governor Gavin Newsom, and defended plans for a White House ballroom. New York City Mayor Eric Adams heads to Israel Friday to meet officials and tech leaders focusing on combating anti-Semitism. He returns Tuesday and says he plans to write a book, work on a documentary, and pursue a doctorate after leaving office. And Sean Diddy Combs has entered a drug rehab program at Fort Dix Prison in New Jersey, which could cut a year off his sentence. Combs is serving over 4 years for a prostitution-related conviction. His lawyers say